Hey guys, what's up? It's me, the Gaming Spinosaurus, and today I'm going to be doing a video on why Darth Vader is the greatest villain of all time. Let's just jump right into it, shall we? When you think of incredible villains, a few characters probably pop to mind. Thanos from the MCU, Syndrome from Incredibles, and of course, Milo from the movie Morbius. And while these are all fantastic villains in their own right, I think there is one big bad who reigns supreme over all of them, and his name is Darth Vader. Darth Vader was first introduced in 1977 in a movie called Star Wars: A New Hope. Some of you might have seen it. It's a bit of like an indie movie. Not many people know about it. Now, when it comes to villains, first introductions are so important. It can make or break the entire image of that character if the first introduction is really bad. And Vader, let's be honest, has an absolutely incredible first introduction. He immediately stands out against all the white corridors of the Tantive 5, and he immediately stands out against all of the white stormtroopers as he walks in through the smoke. He is this monster clad in black armor with deep, heavy breathing, deep, booming footsteps. Even the stormtroopers kind of freeze up and straighten up when he enters. Then he marches off with the stormtroopers following behind him. That's how you do a villain introduction. Not a single word spoken, and he already is an imposing presence. The next scene he appears in, he chokes a guy to death, and then he starts talking. His menacing, robotic voice. And he just keeps choking this man to death with his bare hands, demanding to know where the plans are. And then once he's dead, once he's choked a man to death, he just chucks his body aside as if it was nothing, and immediately starts commanding the rest of his men to find these plans. So within the span of maybe 30 seconds to a minute maximum, Vader has already established himself as a brutal and ruthless villain. And this trend continues throughout the entire movie. For example, when he force chokes an officer for questioning his abilities. I mean, he questions how powerful the Force is, and Vader just force chokes him. Then, later on, he beats Obi-Wan Kenobi after, let's be honest here, winning the fight. He would have won the fight even if Obi-Wan hadn't have just kind of given up. So, throughout his first appearance, Vader cements himself as a brilliant and terrifying villain. However, in my humble opinion, I think that Vader isn't his best till the next movie, Star Wars: Empire Strikes Back, a movie that came out in 1981. Again, another kind of indie movie that not many people know about. While A New Hope builds great foundations for Vader's character, making him seem menacing and terrifying, it's not until Empire that he really peaks. Now, the first Vader scene we see in Empire is when he chokes a man to death because he exited hyperspace too early. He made one mistake and just promotes the guy next to him to Admiral. Just chokes the Admiral to death, and then the guy next to him is now Admiral because the Admiral made one mistake. That's just so cool. Now, of course, this isn't the only time Vader does this in the movie, as later he does this to the man who loses the Millennium Falcon mid-chase. I still think the captain who gets choked is the most noble man in the Empire, as he takes the blame for this, so no one else gets hurt except him, because he knows Vader will kill him. He knows Vader won't accept his apology, and he still owns up. But that's a complete tangent. Then Vader also captures Han, Chewie and Leia at Cloud City, tortures Han, and then freezes them in carbonite to send to Jabba. Then he does his classic Vader and backstabs Lando. Then tries to take Leia and Chewie and the droids. And then, finally, after Luke training for most of the movie with Yoda on Dagobah, where the most beautiful scene in all of Star Wars occurs, Vader easily disposes and toys with Luke in the fight on Cloud City, chopping his hand off and leaving him hanging onto the ledge onto a drop that would kill him. And then he drops the bombshell that he, Darth Vader, is Luke's father, changing cinema forever, genuinely. Now, this without a doubt amplifies Vader's character tenfold, because it further implies Vader has a past before being this metallic monster, this person who's more machine than man. And it's just an incredible and shocking idea that makes Vader's character far more complex. It's kind of implied that he has a past before being Vader, because he's Obi-Wan's ex-apprentice, as we learn in A New Hope. But this kind of cements the idea that yes, there was a time where maybe Vader wasn't this metal machine monster. Maybe he was human beforehand, but he's not now. And it helps make Vader's character far greater than him just being this evil villain. There is more to him. But there is one more thing Vader related that debuts in this movie that might be some of the most important reason why Vader is such an iconic villain. A little known thing known as the Imperial March. This song is so goddamn good. This sort of militant yet bombastic, yet menacing, yet catchy as hell piece of music that perfectly fits Vader's character and the Empire in general. Overall, Empire Strikes Back builds upon the foundation of Vader's character set up in A New Hope, keeping the menacing nature but also making him a more complex character. Now, in the final film of the original trilogy, after Vader being built up to be this incredibly menacing villain, they instead go a different route and try and deepen his character and do a fantastic job. In this film, you really begin to understand the conflict happening inside of Vader. You see how he wants to be with his son, but the only way he can visualize this is ruling with his son, ruling the galaxy with his son. And how he believes that it's too late for him to go back. He's been on the path of the dark side for too long. There's no way he can go back. And he truly believes that there is no way he can be redeemed. The fight in the throne room is also so intense, as Vader is toying with Luke, and the fight is just, I love it. I love the fight. And he eventually toys with Luke enough for Luke to tap into the dark side and just go at Vader completely. And then he realizes, Luke kind of realizes that, oh my god, I'm being just like him. And of course, during this fight in the throne room, under Death Star 2, where Luke spares Vader's life, and the Emperor begins electrocuting Luke while his son pleads for him to help, Darth Vader dies, and Anakin Skywalker is born again. When he kills the Emperor, he kills Vader. That's how I like to see it anyway. So that means Anakin Skywalker gets to spend the last moments alive with his son. And that movie closes the book on Darth Vader as a character and explains why he's such an incredible villain. Throughout the original trilogy, Darth Vader is menacing, terrifying, and unstoppable. This monster. And in the end, he doesn't go down fighting. He is killed by Anakin Skywalker and his son's love for him. Which is kind of nice, isn't it? You thought this was over. No, because Vader has appeared in a few other properties recently, and let's just say he's been used absolutely incredibly. While the original trilogy tells Vader's tale really well, a few recent properties have helped add to the terrifying nature already built up for Vader. Now, a great example of this is Rogue One. Here, Vader is exactly how he is in A New Hope, because it takes place like a few days before A New Hope. I mean, the end literally ends off as A New Hope begins. He is absolutely terrifying. First, there is this sick-ass, imposing as hell, black castle with a lava waterfall out the front, spewing lava. And not only that, it's situated on Mustafar, the site of his greatest mistake, his loss to Obi-Wan Kenobi, and the site of Anakin Skywalker's first true death, which makes it seem even cooler, yet more tragic. Then there's the Vader interaction with Krennic in his castle. He just straight up chokes him because he seems to be getting a little too egotistical. Fucking classic Vader, man. Vader always seems to be the one in control of every situation. Then there's the Vader scene everyone wants me to talk about, and the one I really, really want to talk about because I love it so much. Oh my god, it's so great. The hallway scene. Vader is a goddamn menace. He fucking cuts down rebels like they are nothing because they are to him. The way there's this blackness and silence except the blaring alarm before Vader's booming footsteps and piercing breathing before his lightsaber ignites, it just works so well to build up tension. Then there's the pure franticness from the rebels because they know there's no way they can stop him. Vader is basically an unstoppable monster. I love this scene so much. But this is not my favourite Vader Disney scene. No, there is one more that has taken the spot. My final piece of evidence that Darth Vader is the greatest villain of all time comes from a game. This game being, of course, Jedi Fallen Order. Now, I knew Vader was going to be in the game before I played it, which really annoyed me because I think it would have been a great reveal to not know that Vader was coming and then he just walks in right at the end of the game. And a lot of the trailers after the game's release did put Vader in it, which, you know, that's a completely different issue. But I didn't know how he fit into the story at all. So when I beat Trilla and her and Seer were beginning to reconcile slightly, and I heard Vader's booming footsteps and his heavy breathing, and you watch Trilla's face slowly realise what's about to happen, I was getting pretty excited. You could see the pure terror on her face. Vader then proceeds to leap down from the platform, slice Trilla like she was nothing, and then flick Seer away. Just flick her using the Force. So easily. And then he says to Cal, who is standing there pretty terrified,
"You would be wise to surrender."
Now, some people could say that's ego. No, it isn't ego. It would be wise of him to surrender. There's no way he can beat Vader. Vader knows that, and Cal knows that. The cutscene ends, and the camera pans back to gameplay as Darth Vader stands ahead of you, implying a boss fight is about to ensue, which disappointed me on my first playthrough, because I felt Cal actually fighting Vader wouldn't even be a close fight. Vader would win that fight every day of the week. And the game agreed with me. You go to fight Vader, and immediately he just easily goes, counters all your attacks, and starts force choking you. You try and pull down the metal canister thing, and he just freezes it with the Force, launches you out the doorway. And then he begins to tear apart the entire room nearly through his Force powers. Just tear apart the room. And then it dawns upon you that this is not a boss fight, this is a frantic chase for your life. Vader catches you, you are dead. And he's so good at catching you. You go in the elevator, get to the next floor, Vader is there. He is just this unstoppable force of nature. And the only way you can escape is by breaking through the glass of the hallway and swimming through the water. But in that fight, Vader, without a doubt, beat Cal. I mean, he literally stabbed Cal with his own lightsaber using the Force. And when Seer comes back after being, almost flicked into lava, he easily beats Seer in a lightsaber fight, even though she is amped up on the dark side of the Force. So in conclusion, once again, this is a perfect example of Vader being this almost unstoppable force of nature who can beat any Jedi, and the only way you have a chance of coming out of this alive, coming out of the confrontation alive, is running for your life. You cannot beat him. In conclusion, I believe that I have shown enough evidence as to why Vader is the greatest villain of all time. Because he is this absolutely terrifying, unstoppable monster who terrifies everyone around him, even well-built and naturally terrifying villains, like the Second Sister, who has no equal and is completely unmatched in power, yet he is also somehow incredibly complex, and you kind of feel sorry for him, because you understand how he became this monster, And it's so tragic. I mean, I think it's even more tragic in the Kenobi show, because I know it's Hayden Christensen under the armor. It just makes me think, oh my god, under that armor is the man who gave up everything to save Padme and failed, and now look at what's become of him. Creating this absolutely beautiful character who is without a doubt the greatest villain of all time. That's going to be the end of the video. If you liked it, please do smash like. Subscribe for more content. If you do subscribe, be sure to hit the bell icon to be notified whenever I upload. I've been the Gaming Inquisetorious. You guys have been awesome. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye now.